who think your dog puts a paw on you because it is being cute. But sometimes that small touch carries a much deeper message. When dogs want something from us, they rarely begin with barking, because physical contact is often their fastest, clearest, and hardest to ignore signal. A paw placed on your arm, leg, or chest can interrupt your attention instantly, almost like a silent tap saying, "Please notice me now." Many owners laugh and call it affection, yet the behavior usually appears in specific moments, which means your dog is reacting, not acting randomly. Dogs do not have words, so touch becomes one of their most direct tools for changing your focus, closing distance, and starting communication. Sometimes the paw arrives when you are scrolling your phone, answering messages, or talking to someone else, because your dog feels pushed outside the moment. That quick pressure on your body can be your dog's way of saying, "I cannot compete with that thing, so I'm touching you directly." In the canine world, contact helps regulate distance, intention, and safety. So even one paw can carry information about need, tension, trust, or urgency. Some dogs use this touch simply to ask for play, food, or petting. But even those simple requests still reveal how they read you. They choose the paw because it is polite compared with jumping, faster than waiting, and surprisingly effective when they already know you respond. If your dog repeats this habit often, it usually means the behavior has worked before. And successful behaviors are the ones dogs remember best. What looks spontaneous to you may actually be learned communication, may strengthened every time you stop, look down, speak softly, or place your hand nearby. But attention is only the first layer, because many dogs place a paw on people during moments that feel emotional, uncertain, or slightly unsettling. A dog that feels ignored may not understand your schedule, your stress, or your phone. It only understands that your presence feels farther away. So the paw becomes a bridge, a small physical link meant to pull you back into shared space, shared attention, and shared emotional rhythm. That is why dogs often do it when you sit still but seem mentally absent, because your body is close, yet connection feels missing. To your dog, closeness without response can feel confusing, and confusion often increases the urge to make contact again, more clearly this time. One gentle paw may mean, "Stop drifting away from me," because your dog depends on emotional feedback to know the relationship still feels secure. This is especially common in sensitive dogs that watch your face closely, follow your movement, and notice tiny changes in tone or routine. They are not always asking for something physical. Sometimes they are asking for reassurance that the social bond between you still feels warm. Dogs are experts at noticing patterns. So if the home suddenly feels quieter, colder, tenser, or emotionally different, many will move closer. A paw on your knee during those moments can function like a check-in, asking whether you are okay and whether togetherness is safe. This is where the habit stops being merely cute, because the touch may be less about getting something and more about restoring emotional contact. And some dogs even place a paw after you raise your voice, leave the room, or move abruptly, as if trying to steady uncertainty. In those moments, the paw is not always demanding. It can be a careful test to see whether the emotional weather has changed. There is another layer too, because attachment can carry a mild possessive edge without becoming aggression, especially in dogs strongly bonded to one person. When your dog places a paw on you while watching others nearby, the message may include connection, but also a quiet claim. It can mean, "This person is mine," not in a hostile way, but in the instinctive sense of protecting valued access and closeness. Dogs repeat behaviors that help them maintain preferred relationships, so a paw can become part affection, part anchoring, and part social positioning. You might notice it more when guests arrive, when another pet comes near, or when your attention shifts suddenly away from your dog. That does not automatically mean dominance, because popular labels often oversimplify behavior that is really about security, access, and emotional preference. A bonded dog may use the paw to keep you engaged, especially when something in the environment feels socially complicated or slightly competitive. The deeper truth is that closeness itself can become a resource, and your dog may be trying to hold that resource steady. Yet one of the most fascinating reasons behind this behavior appears when your dog responds to your internal state, not your actions. Dogs read humans through smell, posture, breathing, movement, voice, routine, and tension, most often long before people consciously recognize their own changes. A stressed person sits differently, breathes differently, smells different, moves differently, and creates a subtle atmosphere dogs can detect almost immediately around them. When your dog puts a paw on you during sadness, anxiety, or exhaustion, the gesture may function like comfort rather than request. It can resemble an emotional question, a grounding response, or a simple attempt to stay physically connected while your energy feels strange. Many owners describe this happening when they cry, lie sick in bed, or sit silently after a hard day without speaking much. The dog may not understand your problem, but it absolutely notices the shift, and the paw becomes a direct, living answer there. In that sense, the behavior can be astonishingly tender, because your dog may be trying to soothe you using the tools it has. Touch matters to dogs because bodies communicate safety. So a paw can be their version of saying, "I am here with you." This emotional sensitivity is why the same gesture can feel playful one day, needy another day, and deeply comforting in a harder moment. Context changes meaning, and dogs are incredibly contextual animals, which means you should read the paw together with body posture and timing. A loose body, soft eyes, and relaxed breathing often point toward connection or comfort, especially if the paw arrives gently and briefly. A stiff body, intense stare, or repeated pushing may suggest frustration, over-arousal, or an anxious need for control rather than calm affection. That distinction matters because the same paw can look similar on the surface, while coming from completely different emotional states underneath inside. Your dog is always communicating through the whole body, and the paw only makes sense when viewed as one piece of a larger sentence. Sometimes that larger sentence says, "Pay attention to me because I am bored, understimulated, and searching for interaction that feels rewarding." Dogs with extra energy often discover that pawing creates immediate engagement, making it one of the easiest habits to repeat throughout the day. In that case, your response shapes the future, because every smile, laugh, or touch teaches your dog whether this tactic works again. But when the paw appears specifically during emotional distance, illness, unusual stress, or strange behavior, it deserves more thoughtful attention from you. Some dogs become clingier before storms of change, whether that change is in the house, in routine, or inside your body itself. They may follow you more closely, sniff you longer, rest nearby more often, and add paw contact as one more checking behavior. That does not mean dogs diagnose everything, but it does mean they notice departures from normal faster than many people expect them. If your dog suddenly targets one spot on your body again and again, especially with unusual sniffing, the pattern is worth noticing. The same is true if a normally independent dog becomes unusually attached, restless, or persistent about touching you without an obvious reason. That kind of shift does not prove danger, but it does invite observation, because behavior changes are often meaningful before they are dramatic. The healthiest response is curiosity, not panic, paired with a clear look at your dog's routine, body language, appetite, and overall behavior. Notice when the paw happens, how long it lasts, what your dog does next, and whether anything unusual is happening around you. Patterns tell stories, and once you track the moments, you may discover the behavior appears during loneliness, tension, overstimulation, or your own distress. That awareness helps you respond better, because meeting the real need is more effective than guessing based on the gesture alone itself. If the need is connection, give calm attention and presence rather than accidentally teaching frantic pawing as the only successful path to closeness. If the need is boredom, add structured play, scent work, training, or walks, so your dog has healthier ways to seek engagement. If the paw seems tied to insecurity, your calm voice, predictable routine, and steady touch can help restore emotional balance over time. And if the behavior shifts sharply or comes with other unusual signs, paying closer attention to health becomes a sensible next step. What matters most is refusing to dismiss the gesture as meaningless, because dogs often repeat simple actions that carry layered communication inside. A paw can be a request, a comfort, a claim, a question, or a warning that something in the shared world feels off. The brilliance of dogs is not that they think like humans, but that they notice us through channels we forget we broadcast. They read the air around us, the pauses in our routine, the tension in our muscles, and the availability in our attention. So when a dog reaches out with one paw, it may be responding not to what you are doing, but to what you are feeling. That possibility should not scare you, but it should make the behavior feel richer, more intentional, and more emotionally alive than expected. Even the gentlest paw can hold urgency when it appears at the exact moment your dog senses distance, upset, or change coming. And even a demanding paw can come from vulnerability, because dogs often become pushier when they do not feel fully secure inside. The goal is not to romanticize every touch, but to become observant enough to tell the difference between habit and message clearly. Once you start looking at timing, tension, and context, your dog's paw stops being random and starts becoming surprisingly readable communication there. You begin to notice which touches ask for attention, which ask for comfort, and which appear when something deeper feels unusual nearby. That is the moment your relationship changes, because you stop reacting to a cute habit and start listening to a language beneath. Dogs live close to the body, the room, the routine, and the emotional atmosphere, so their signals are often grounded and immediate. They do not need speeches to tell you something matters. Sometimes one quiet paw does the work of an entire conversation alone. This is why dismissing the behavior too quickly can make us miss what the dog has been trying to express all along. Maybe it wants play, maybe reassurance, maybe closeness, maybe relief. Or maybe it notices that your normal state has shifted today somehow. The meaning lives in the pattern, which is why one isolated paw matters less than when, how, and why it appears repeatedly. A dog that paws you during every meal is telling a different story than a dog that only does it when you cry. A dog that paws while pressed close and trembling is telling a different story than one bouncing excitedly beside the door there. Your job is not to guess perfectly, but to observe honestly, respond calmly, and let the full body context guide meaning best. The more you understand this small gesture, the more clearly you see that your dog is always trying to stay connected somehow. Sometimes that connection is playful, sometimes protective, sometimes needy, and sometimes deeply compassionate in ways people do not expect at first glance. That is what makes the paw so mysterious. It looks simple, yet it can carry attention-seeking, attachment, empathy, or concern together. And because dogs cannot explain themselves with words, the responsibility falls on us to notice the message hidden inside repetition better today. The next time your dog lays a paw on you, pause before laughing, because that small touch may deserve a closer read. Look at the moment, the mood, the body, and the pattern, and ask what your dog might be responding to right now. You may discover a simple request, or you may discover a sensitive companion trying to reach you the only way it can. What feels like one tiny paw on your skin may actually be your dog's most honest attempt to speak across species today. To you, it may be a touch, but to your dog, it can be connection, comfort, concern, or quiet insistence, combined softly. And once you understand that, the paw stops being a mystery and becomes a heartfelt message delivered through the smallest possible gesture.